Thank you. Thank you for sticking around after lunch. I was hoping that I'll be off the hook where everybody's just leaving, but thank you for sticking around. Okay, let me get one thing straight before I start. The title is a clickbait. Don't expect me to answer this question for you. I mean, if you think about it, every organization should know its own customers, its industry, its competition, know when to transform and how. But if you don't, to be honest, you'll be having a bigger problem. But I'm sure this is not the case, and this is why you're all here. So for the next 8 minutes or so, let's talk digital transformation, shall we? Okay. Digital transformation. It's a form of organizational change, correct? And if you think about it, any organizational change should be linked to one main objective at a corporate level. This objective is increase shareholder value, yes? What does that mean? It means increase revenue, decrease cost, and enhance asset utilization. Do you agree? Hold that thought for a second. I'm going to illustrate this with a simple use case from the banking industry, and one service particularly. And this service is the instant account opening. Think with me for a second. If a bank has a customer, now remember, this is a service that's already been transformed, yes? Most organizations would think that digital transformation is about a facelift to their website or a redesign to their mobile app. That's not always the case. That's actually not the case at all. And they think that their customers would jump into their website or mobile app and start using it. But it really goes way before that. It goes at the awareness session, awareness phase. This is where marketing, digital communication strategies play a big role in the enhancements and the success of digital transformations. This is where your customers know about the very existence of you and your digital services. So let's say that your customer now knows about your service. He goes ahead and starts searching for it. He goes to Google, he goes to the App Store, he goes to social media, probably asks friends, but he knows about the service now. This is where afterwards, he goes to your website. He starts filling the form. Remember, this is instant account opening, yes? So he starts filling the form. While he's filling the form, he faces a roadblock of some sort, technical or otherwise. But he notices that there is a help button that was there all the time. He goes ahead and clicks it, and he was presented with multiple channels to offer him help from the bank that he's interacting with. He gets the support he wants. A few days later, he gets the credit card, he gets his bank details. He's happy. This is an opportunity for the bank to reach out to him and follow up, gets his feedback, probably do some cross-selling. Now he's sitting there, he's happy, he's saying, I didn't move a muscle, and I opened a bank account, I received my credit cards, this is how it's supposed to be. So he goes ahead and starts sharing this information with his friends, with his families, with his wider world. Now think with me, let's go back to the main objective. Do you remember that main objective? Increasing shareholder value with the three things. Did this service increase revenue? Probably. Remember, a wider customer base. Did it reduce cost? Absolutely. Reducing footfall to the brick and mortar branches, right? Did it enhance utilization? Why not? 24/7 open branch online. So if you think about it, I mean, digital transformation is really much more complicated than that. But linking it to these business objectives is the first step to success. But let's go back to the digital, to the component, social media component of digital transformation. And I'd like to share with you a personal experience. Last year, I was traveling to a customer. And before I traveled, I was contemplating between a couple of airlines. And for some reason, I don't know this lady, this feed popped up on my personal Facebook and Twitter accounts. I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know her. She doesn't even have lots of followers or likes or anything, but it just pops up on my account. And immediately I made a shift from this airline to the other one. Now you might argue with me that it might not be the airline's problem or it might be her problem, or the airport's problem, or some other problems that is not related to the airport or to the airline. But the matter of the fact is I made the decision. I shifted my decision from actually going with this airline to the next one. This is how powerful social media is. Now, another example, and I picked this up from the internet, is, and this is absurd. If you can see here, the airline actually responded with, our social media is only open from 9 to 5. Now, this is absurd. I mean, one would wonder, it blows your mind. You'll be thinking, what a terrible failure. I mean, that's something that you don't imagine from a multi-billion-dollar company, correct? On the bright side of things, social media being a big component out of the bigger digital transformation complex initiative, it has to be about proactive reach. It has to be about listening and reacting and proactive actions sometimes. And this is a very good example from Salesforce where someone just tweeted about an issue and immediately they opened a ticket for them. But if you think about social media as one component of the digital strategy, if you're part of the organizational strategy team or you're part of the CEO office and you're thinking about the digital transformation of your own organization, how do you think about it? I would zoom out, probably have a 10,000 feet view of my organization and think about the anatomy of an organization. Now, any organization, and I think you'd agree with me here, any organization would consist of employees, it would consist of customers or citizens in the case of governments, it would consist of value chain and business processes, yes? And finally, the thing that glues everything in our age is the infrastructure or technology. Now, if you look at this, almost all organizations or governments must have these four main components from within its organization. Now, feminists will look at this and say, oh, yes, right, okay. Men are employees and women are customers. But don't judge me, yeah? I just picked up this from the internet. But the idea is, this is the main building blocks of digital transformation within an organization. You need to think of all these four building blocks. It's not just a redesign of a web page or a fancy mobile app that you need to have. It's really the engagement of employees, the engagement of customers, how you're automating your business processes, and how everything is built on a stable infrastructure that is your data center, your cloud, whatever you use for technology in your organization. Now, there's a study that has been conducted in Germany that showed asked the question, what is the main reason for leaders of organizations to restructure or change their own organization, change their own skin? And the number one reason was disruptive innovation or digital disruption. This is by far the number one reason for that. And this is why digital transformation is a solution for disruptive innovation in all industries. But if you think about it, there's a big gap. A study that was published in Forbes stated that 25% of surveyed CIOs understand what digital transformation is. But guess what? Listen to this. 88% of them are going through with it. Now, Einstein said, if you can't explain it, you don't understand it. Now, we think that if you don't understand it, don't do it. Otherwise, the repercussions will be catastrophe. And this digital gap, this digital transformation gap, is what's causing 70 to 84%, according to IDC and Forbes, of failure in digital transformation initiatives across EMEA. But what's the solution? We think that, first of all, the reason is people going about digital transformation and starting with technology first. That's wrong. Digital transformation is an organizational change. If you start with technology, you will end up with siloed initiatives, and it will all go to failure. Probably the project itself will succeed, but then at an organization level, from the customer's perspective, it will fail. So what do we do? Let's put, I said strategy, but let's put it into perspective for a second. Every company will have its own corporate strategy, yes? It defines where they are going. It defines the main objective of their very existence. They have business strategies. correct? This is where you have your retail strategy, you have your product strategy, you have your ICT strategy as one of the business strategies. Now, digital strategy, which is the blueprint that defines how do you go about digital transformation, is defining what's the customer experience itself. So this is where it will have objectives from the customer's perspective, and then these objectives are linked or injected in each of the business unit's objectives or strategies, and then aligned to the corporate strategy. If you have that monitored and sponsored by the CEO, if you have that executed and KPIs are injected in each of the business units' business strategies, chances of your success will be very high. Before I end, let me make sure that we all understand what is digital transformation. This definition of digital transformation that I picked up off the internet is very relevant, and I like it. It's an ongoing organizational change that encompasses every idea for a business that has a technology aspect to ensure remaining competitive and relevant in the organization's respective industry. Now, there are two key points or keywords here. First is ongoing, so it's not a project, it doesn't have a start and end. And it's every idea. So it touches employees, it touches business process automation, it touches customers, it touches infrastructure, everything you can think of. But still, I didn't like it that much because it's inward thinking. What I like to define digital transformation as is the effects or influences that technology has on human lives that causes it to change. The iPhone effect, the Uber effect. Think about the effect, the thing, the technology that you use that actually changed your own life. And if it's not you, it's these guys. Now, digital transformation is about building futures, building bright futures for these guys. And these guys, the last thing that they would do or want is to switch on their cars, drive through traffic, find a parking spot, go inside, take a number to open a bank account. They won't. They're looking for someone who's actually digitally transformed to meet their requirements and their needs. And if you're not going to do it, someone else will. I'm Usama Nouri from Avaya. Thank you very much.